On May 2nd to the 4th, 2014, the Singles Ministry arm of the Family Life Department of the Turks and Caicos Islands Mission, better known as SEEDS, Singles Encouraging, Equipping, Discipling for Service, held its first singles retreat under the theme, Complete in Christ. The weekend began with the Friday evening service at the Blue Hills Seventh-day Adventist Church. During the evening, guest speaker for the weekend, Miss Andrea D. Hicks, CEO and founder of Focus Ministries, Fellowship of Christians Unique and Single, based in New York, shared with the audience how to love again after their heart had been broken by divorce or the death of a spouse. The Sabbath morning service was held at the Club Med Turquoise Resort in Grace Bay. The morning session focused on how to handle sexual desires. A word that stuck with the attendees was cancel. Andrea Hicks told them that when they are tempted to do wrong, to say out loud, cancel, or find something that will get their mind off of the temptation. The singles present were also taught how to confront their fears and how to live productive lives while being single. The day ended with a sunset cruise on the turquoise waters of the award-winning Grace Bay Beach. On the final day of the retreat, the group gathered again at the Blue Hills Church to have a prayer breakfast. After the breakfast, the participants were able to ask Ms. Hicks pressing questions that they had, and she also discussed with them topics that the singles ministry should address for both males and females over time. The participants learned a lot from the weekend. This is what some of them had to say about it.
Some tools we also received during the seminar was about overcoming fear. And some of the ways we can do that is to identify it, accept it, and take it from there. Also, another thing we learned that we must let our faith be bigger than our fear, and God will do the rest for us.
My most memorable part of this workshop was the fact that to be honest, it was the cruise. I enjoy it. It's been a while since I had fun with my church family, especially the single side of the church family. And my intake on the whole thing was that I learned more. It was in my first single retreat. Another thing I learned from this seminar was that is to define a relationship. Because most of the time, as young people, we think that dating someone means that it's inclusive or just a boy and a girl and it's just the two of you, when most of the time you never define a relationship, and all he thinks about is probably, oh, we're just going out on a date, I'm getting to know you, and he's dating other persons, and while I might be here just thinking about just him and we're in a relationship, in his mind we're not in a relationship. So it's very important to define the relationship.
The information given about selecting a life partner was very interesting. It has shine a brighter light on what I knew. It has opened my eyes to see that even though some of the things that I was thinking, it wasn't just in my head, but it was real.
Seeds Ministries, I believe that it's very needed in the Adventist church because it's something that has presented itself to be very practical and not something that you have to sit down and study about, but once you leave you can actually apply it within your own life or even help others. So the practicality of it is very important.
Another participant said,
So as single persons, we need each other and to help us to stay focused on God. And as singles, I believe that we can do a lot with our talent and time that God has given us.
Miss Judith Robinson, single ministry coordinator, was pleased with the weekend and had the following to say.
And over the years, I have seen a lot of struggles from our singles, from our divorce, single again, through divorce or through widow, not having the resources to help themselves. Being in the mission, I was invited to a singles ministry retreat in the Bahamas in 2010. And on my return, I said to the mission, we need to start a singles ministry. And this is where it all came. Miss Andrea was the guest speaker at the singles ministry in the Bahamas. And I was happy enough that we continued to keep in contact. And upon reaching her, we were able to lock down a time for her to come and speak to the singles in the Turks and Caicos. Part of this It was not just to enlighten singles, Adventist singles, but to enlighten singles on a whole in the Turks and Caicos. There's no ministry in the Turks and Caicos of its kind, and I'm happy to know that this weekend we were able to launch such ministry, that we would be able to equip and empower other singles throughout the Turks and Caicos. As for this weekend, I would say it was a success. I was hoping that we would have gotten more singles to attend, but because of the stigma and everyone thinking that it was a hookup weekend, I'm still grateful for the numbers that came, that signed up to show their support, that they would be a part of growing this ministry. And thanks to Ms. Andrea, thanks to the mission, and thanks to all of the participants, because it tells me that what I wanted to happen, it can happen. Not only just me continuing to speak with persons, but the persons that showed up this weekend, they have showed that through their support, together we would be able to move this ministry and to grow seeds throughout the Turks and Caicos.
The presenter, Andrea Hicks, was captivated by the beautiful by nature Turks and Caicos Islands and had this to say about her time in the islands, the retreat, and her ministry to singles.
I am the founder of Focus Ministries, Fellowship of Christians Unique and Single. And we started back in 2001 in New York City. And I am here for the Seeds Ministries Retreat, the first of its kind, a historical event. And it was such a blessing being here in the islands of Turks and Caicos, the nature islands of Turks and Caicos, seeing this turquoise water. It was outstanding when I came. And coming to this convention this weekend was wonderful because I got to meet lots of single adults. And I would say that I am quite impressed about how the interactive discussions were and how people weren't afraid to ask questions and how it seemed as if we were able to get it across where people understood what was happening. And what I find is that the reasons why these workshops work all over the world is because it's practical information that people can utilize now, and they don't have to wait, read 20 chapters when they leave, but they can take this information and apply right when they get out the door to their own personal lives.
The singles were blessed and look forward to having active singles ministries in each of the local churches within the mission. This is Crystal Robinson reporting for Turks and Caicos Islands Mission of Seventh-day Adventists.